Merry Meet and welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga. We're streaming live on YouTube here. Moderating today are the lovely Dre and the lovely Jason. Thank you so much, moderators. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. We have a premiere at 11:15. We probably won't go that long, but I just wanted to make sure because this is another long psalm today, so I didn't want to be rushing. We do have a chat thread open on this stream if you haven't already noticed it. So please avail yourself to that. Chat amongst yourselves and enjoy yourselves. If it's not pertaining to what we're talking about, that's okay. If you do have a question for me, though, you can put that question in the chat thread and I will answer it before the end of the stream, unless for some reason I have gone over, in which case we'll have to either take it on another day, or you can always go to our Discord server or to our private Facebook group, and I do my best to answer all the questions there as well. Our website is at arielscorner.com, arielscorner.com, and that's where you can find all of our resources, our free booklets and free courses, free lectures, free meditations, free psalm spells, all kinds of stuff there. And also on the footer of every one of those pages, you can find links to all of our social media, and that includes our private Facebook group and our Discord server, where you can be more of an active part of our community, should you desire to do so. I hope that everybody does join us for our premiere today at 11:15. You can just wait to the end of the exit music on this stream, and it should put you right into the link to that premiere. Our shop is at arielscornershop.com, arielscornershop.com. We keep putting some new merchandise in there every so often. That's just an interim shop at the moment. We will have a full-on shop opening at some point, but we're happy that we have that for the time being, and I hope that you enjoy it. And if you'd like to give a donation to this channel, you can do that by going to paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga, paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga. If you're wanting to just stay on YouTube, you could use a super sticker or super chat if you're live, or if you're on a restream, you could use a super thanks. We do appreciate your support, and we appreciate you for being here today. All right, so let's get going with this spell since it is a bit of a long one. Hold on just a moment. I'm sorry, I thought I was ready. What is wrong with Ariel today? Oh, I see what I'm doing here. My computer is so slow. There we go. There it is. Okay. So if you want to follow along, we're going to be doing Psalm 35. So if you either want to go onto our Witch's Psalter on our website, arielscorner.com/psalms. Actually, it's ariels-corner.com/psalms. ariels-corner.com/psalms. Or if you have your own psalm book, we are going to be working Psalm 35 today. Okay, here we go. Today we are working Psalm 35. In Psalm Magic, Psalm 35 is used for victory in court and also to be vindicated when falsely accused. Psalm 35 is one of the justice psalms, or the psalms of justice, and it is also a cursing psalm, so it's quite a versatile psalm. Today we are going to be using Psalm 35 to remove obstacles from our path. The way we work Psalm Magic, so you can use Psalm 35 with us today for what my intended purpose is, for removing obstacles on our path, or you can also use the seeds that we find and direct it toward another goal if you have a different goal. The way we work Psalm Magic is simple, easy, and effective. We read the psalm in question out loud all the way through once without stopping. This recitation is commonly known as an incantation. Say that again. This recitation is commonly known as an incantation. After we've finished with the incantation, we go back through the psalm and we consider each verse in turn, and we dig for hidden meanings within each verse. Those hidden or occult meanings we refer to as being magic seeds. And by digging and searching and then doing our best to apply what we find there to the situation we've brought to the psalm, we are in effect taking those magic seeds and planting them in the depths of our fertile mind, where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is precisely what we are going to do right now with Psalm 35. I should have brought my little knife here. That's okay. I can make do. We've got this. Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler, and stand up for mine help. Draw out also the spear, and stop the way against them that persecute me. Say unto my soul, I am thy salvation. Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord persecute them. For without cause they have hid for me their net in a pit, which without cause they have digged for my soul. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord, and it shall rejoice in his salvation. All my bones shall say, Lord, who is like unto thee, which deliverest the poor from him that is too strong for him, yea, the poor and the needy from him that spoileth him. False witness did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not. They rewarded me evil for good, to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother. But in mine adversity they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me, and ceased not. With hypocritical mockers and feasts they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Lord, how long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my darling from the lions. I will give thee thanks in the great congregation. I will praise thee among much people. Let them not that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me, and said, Aha, aha, our eye hath seen it. This thou hast seen, O Lord. Keep not silence, O Lord, be not far from me. Stir up thyself, and awake to my judgment, even unto my cause, my God and my Lord. Judge me, O Lord, my God, according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Let them not say in their hearts, so would we have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at mine hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify them. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor. Okay, take 4. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, Let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. And my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all day long. Very upset psalmist here. Okay, we'll get through this in plenty of time. We start with, Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me, fight against them that fight against me. So we are taking our lament to the source. And the source, what the Psalms calls Lord, is translated from Hebrew of the Tetragrammaton, which is Yud-He-Vav-He. And the way that people often will pronounce Yud-He-Vav-He as Jehovah or Yehovah and other different names, but it was considered the ineffable name of God. It was considered something that was not to be pronounced. It was a secret name of God. So nobody knows for sure how it's pronounced. But the reason why I'm talking about this is that we are going straight to the source, and the symbolic Yud-He-Vav-He is this Yud-He-Vav-He is symbolic of the one source, the one substance, the one force in all the universe that is the beginning, end, and all of everything. So there is none other than this force. It's pre-gender, so to call it father is not accurate, and to call it mother is not accurate either. It's pre-gender, and there is nothing but this force. And whoever is with this force is with the totality of all that is. And whoever this force is for, nothing can stand against. And so it's important that we orient ourselves to what we're talking about here for a couple of reasons. One, so that we don't become superstitious about either the Psalms or Yud-He-Vav-He, meaning that there's some sort of being out there. Instead, we understand that it's the force of life that is within us. We are as a beam of light from a central star. So we are connected to this force. We are one with this force, and we're actually an extension of this force. And also, we don't want to be superstitious about the Psalms like a lot of people are, where they think uttering these magic words is going to do something for them. And that's not magical. That's superstitious. And what the magic is in the meanings behind the words. So it says, it's starting right off, addressing this force, and plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me, fight against them that fight against me. So today we're talking about an obstacle in our path, or many obstacles in our path, and so that's going to be what we're dealing with. But if you have some other sort of enemy that you're dealing with, either internally or externally, then that's going to be what this is. Take hold of shield and buckler, and stand up for mine help. So we are telling this force what to do. And the force doesn't mind that. The force is actually quite happy to hear this because we're doing something powerful. We're coming to the source of all that is with whatever our trouble happens to be, rather than trying to fix it all by ourselves. Draw out also the spear, and stop the way against them that persecute me, and say unto my soul, I am thy salvation. So whatever these enemies are, whatever these problems are, we are perceiving these problems, or we have perceived these problems as something much bigger than us and much bigger than the infinite, much bigger than the Lord. And now we are starting to turn things around and recognize, wait a minute, if the problem, if whatever this issue is, or these people are, if we are making them gods, then we are turning them into idols, and that's on us. And that's part of the source of the problem. Let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back and brought to confusion that devise my hurt. It's very important that we allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling here. And we're very upset. We are extremely upset about these obstacles or whatever this happens to be. And we just are trying to, contact the force of all that is and say, annihilate this stuff for me. Annihilate it. I don't want it anymore. Let them be as chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. So these problems now we are seeing, whatever these obstacles are, we're seeing them as particles that just blow away in the dust. And the angel of the Lord's wings are going flap, 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 and making them go away, chasing them away, like a big sweeping motion out into oblivion. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord persecute them. So the angel of the Lord persecuting our problems is a wonderful, wonderful image, because we recognize that the forces for us is on our side, and anything that's standing against us, these problems or these obstacles, are meaningless. And so for us, it can be very satisfying to see that the Lord sends an angel to just punish and persecute this problem, and its way is slippery and dark, so it can't find its way back to us. What a wonderful image. For without cause they have hid for me their net in a pit, which without cause they have digged for my soul. Now this is the ego mind right here. That's the ego mind, what it's programmed to do. Now, it didn't just come out of nowhere. We eventually have to take responsibility for the fact that we made up this ego mind. But see, what happens is when we have made this ego mind up, we can't stop it by ourselves. It's too powerful because we are too powerful. And we've gotten stuck in this place where it's sort of like what everybody's afraid of with artificial intelligence. They're afraid, well, wait a minute, once the artificial intelligence gets its own identity, then we can't stop it. Well, we've already done that. We did that a long, long time ago with our ego mind or the demiurge. So, but to the Lord, it's no big deal. To us, we don't know how to fix it, but the Lord does. So when it says, for without cause they have hid from me their net in a pit, which without cause they have digged for my soul. That's exactly what we've done to ourselves as our own ego minds. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself. Into that very destruction let him fall. And that's a very astute and dramatic understanding that all so-called evil will destroy itself. It does destroy itself. And when we are calling on this force that is our source, that loves every aspect of our true nature, it's not the source's will. It's not God's will for us to be going through whatever it is that we're going through. And so when we are allowing ourselves to step back and let the force work for us, then the evil destroys itself. It folds itself up and goes into the native nothingness from whence it came. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord, it shall rejoice in his salvation. So this is one of those transactional type psalms, which are very important for us to understand, because this is where we sometimes lose our way. We say, if you do this, Lord, then I'll praise you. If you give me what I want, then I'll praise you. And every time we see that in the Psalms, we have to remind ourselves what the law of cause and effect is. We have to praise in order that these things happen, because the ball must be started rolling by us. We must be the one that gives the first move, we must be the ones to make the first move. So when we praise the Lord, that simply means that we are becoming enthusiastically, that we're that we are acknowledging enthusiastically that which is good. So we have to get our minds in the right place first, and then we can let the infinite work on our behalf. But if we say, well, I'm going to withhold praise until I get what I want, you're going to be waiting forever. And it's not because the Lord says, wait a minute, you need to pay me first. You need to give you need to stroke my ego first, and then I'll give you what you want. That's not it. It's that the Lord knows how cause and effect works. You must start the praise in order for the magic to start. That's your waving of your wand. That's your abracadabra. That's your sprinkling of the powder. You have to do it. And the Lord waits for you until you do that. Ultimately, we don't want the Lord to wait for us. We want to wait on the Lord. So we do our part right away, which is praise. And remember, praise doesn't mean talking about how wonderful some deity is. That's not praising. That's not what praise the Lord means. Praising the Lord means acknowledging enthusiastically that which is already good in our lives. All my bones shall say, Lord, and before I get off this verse, it says, and my soul shall be joyful in the Lord, it shall rejoice in its salvation. That's the trick, is if you start giving thanks and praise for the fact that it's already occurred, then it's moments, if anything, it's instantaneous that things happen for you. If you can put that in the past, thank you that this has happened, thank you that that I've gotten what I want, then your magic manifests very, very quickly. But if you wait to give the thanks until you see the manifestation, you're going to be waiting forever. All my bones shall say, Lord, who is like unto thee, which deliverest the poor from him that is too strong for him, yea, the poor and the needy from him that spoileth him. So when it says all my bones shall say, that's everything that holds you up, everything that you believe is your structure in your life, your internal structure especially, the things that you believe, the faith that you have, the things that you think you know, you're going to turn all of those ideas to thoughts of praise and thanks. And it says, all your bones are going to say, Lord, who is like unto thee? Nothing is like unto the Lord. There's only one. And then it says, which delivereth the poor from him that is too strong for him, yea, the poor and the needy from him that spoileth him. And those are your problems. Those are those obstacles that are on your path that you feel are just too big and too scary or too mean or too awful, whether they're people, whether they're circumstances, whether they're conditions in your body, whatever these things happen to be, the Lord has a way. The force already has it figured out. False witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not. So false witnesses that rose up against you may have happened in the world. And if that's true, then you can bring those to mind. But regardless of whether they happened in the world or not, whether people are lying about you in the world or not, you've been lying about yourself. You've been thinking that you're an ego. You've been thinking that you're a separate little entity. You've been thinking that you're not good enough. You've been thinking that you're small and insignificant. You've been thinking all kinds of stuff about yourself that's not true. So it's a wonderful thing to acknowledge that, to so-called confess that, so that you can stop doing that. They rewarded me evil for good to the spoiling of my soul. And that's exactly what that kind of egoic thinking does for you. You think you're being humble when you do that, and you get smacked in the face. You think you're being humble when you think that you're not good enough. You know, I was just sitting here minding my own business, thinking about what a poor, miserable sinner I am. And then all of a sudden, it just happened. Well, you did that. You or at least participated in that by holding those thoughts about yourself. You're not miserable. You're not a sinner. You're not poor. You're not bad. None of that's true. Now, your circumstances may dictate that all of those things are true, but that's because you're living in a world of lies. So the first step in uncovering those lies and being delivered from the physical experiences of those lies is to learn the truth about yourself. And the truth about yourself is not the false witnesses that you have been rising up, you've been allowing to rise up within your mind about you. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returneth into mine own bosom. So the sackcloth is a garment of penance in these old Semitic religions. And then that and fasting and prayer, that's how you purify your soul from your sins. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm a sinner and I have to purify myself with sackcloth, which is really an uncomfortable thing to wear, and with fasting and with praying, you can use the idea of the sackcloth, the fasting, and the praying, but only to the degree that what you're doing is removing yourself from the lies. You're purifying from your mind the lies that you've been believing about yourself in the world. The individual sins, so-called, are results of you having such low self-esteem. So the main sin, if you're going to use that word, is believing that you were separate in the first place, believing that you were lowly, believing that you weren't good enough, believing all of those things. That's the ego's game. It's convinced you that those things are humility, thinking those things, when in actuality, that's the height of arrogance. What's humble is to say, I didn't create myself. The infinite created me and creates me in the moment. And the infinite's perfect, so therefore I must be perfect, at least as a soul. So if I recognize that the being that I was created as is perfect, then anything that's not perfect didn't come from that source. It came from something else. And the only something else that there could be is that part of my own mind that projects things onto the screen of space that are based on ideas of separation, which are lies. I'm in the wrong. There we go. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother. Well, all of these ideas that we hold about ourselves, we think we're being good. We think that our ego mind is our friend. We think all of these things that we come up with about ourselves in the privacy of our own minds, thinking by ourselves and not in connection with our inner guidance. We think that all of that is okie dokie because we have fallen under the spell that what the ego says to us is our own thinking. Is our own thinking, when it's not our own thinking. It's hallucinating. It's just a bunch of regurgitation of nonsense that is played again and again and again and again. And that's not thinking. That's not your thoughts. It's projective garbage that the ego keeps recycling in your mind. And the ego is very brilliant, so it can put on all kinds of new forms and new ways of saying the same garbage over and over again, but it's all still the same stuff. You're separate, you're not good enough, everything's horrible, you should be afraid, very afraid, all of those ideas. So when it says, I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother, it's also the idea that you're bowing down to this ego mind as if it is your creator. So we have to stop that. We have to recognize that when we start doing that, when we start believing in things that we think and coming up with ideas about ourselves which don't jive with the truth about who we are, which is that we are perfect as we were created, and we are beloved, and we are stars, and we're powerful. Anything that doesn't look like that, we have to not take ownership of it anymore. Not bow down to that. But in mine adversity they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me, and ceased not. Now, if you're having people do this to you in this world, this psalm is designed to take care of that for you. But you have to understand that the people that are doing this are projections of your mind. They didn't just come out of nowhere. So until you can fully take responsibility for the source of it in your mind, at best, you're going to be getting temporary relief. But then when the stuff comes back, it's going to come back even worse because you haven't dealt with the cause. So yes, we want to take care of the stuff in your life, but we want to take care of the stuff in your life by taking care of the thought forms, which are the source of these things. So, but in my adversity they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. And they did tear me and ceased not. That's our own self-loathing, our own self-hatred. And what's really, really annoying about all of this is the ego mind wants you to think, you don't hate yourself. No, you love yourself. It's so cunning. It's so sly the way it does that kind of thing. But if it's not loving, it's not the Lord. If it doesn't think you're just fabulous, then it's not the source. It's the ego. It's the demiurge. It's something else. Any of those mean, judgy thoughts about yourself don't come from the infinite. Now, that's not to say that sometimes we don't have to stand up to those parts of ourselves and say, stop it, right? But we're still talking to the ego. We're not talking to our soul when we do that. But we're responsible for what the ego does because it is our mind, and we are making the choice each time which voice we're listening to. With hypocritical mockers in feasts, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. So think about that. Think about how hypocritical the ego is. Think about how much it hates you. Hate, self-hatred, self-loathing. If you can get to the bottom of the self-hatred and the self-loathing by doing this psalm, everything changes, including whatever you brought to the psalm. But not only will those things get cleaned up in your life, they're not coming back in a different form this time. Lord, how long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my darling from the lions. I will give thee thanks in the great congregation. I will praise thee much among people. Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. Again, with our transactional idea of the Lord. If you do this for me, everybody's going to hear how wonderful you are. Doesn't work that way. And by the way, the infinite doesn't care that you tell everyone about how wonderful the infinite is. All the infinite cares about is that you're happy, and it knows that you can't be happy unless you're praising. Think of it this way. All prayer is praise. All prayer is praise. So if you want something, praise. Praise something. Praise whatever the thing is in your life that you want in your life. Praise that it's coming. Praise the source that's bringing it to you. If you want something out of your life, praise the source that's eliminating it from you. That's how you do it, is through praise. And then when you give thanks in the great congregation, what you're doing is giving thanks within your own mind, and you're telling all your thoughts. We are grateful. We are enthusiastic about how happy we are. We are enthusiastic in our acknowledgement of how wonderful things are, no matter what seems to be happening outside of ourselves, especially when things aren't going our way in the physical world. That's when we amp it up. When it says, let them not that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. And then it says, for they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. You know it's the ego when it can't be at peace. That's the one thing the ego can't fake. It can't fake peace. It can't exist in peace. So if there's that part of your mind that can't just relax and can't shut up, that's not you. That's your ego mind. And that part of you is devising deceitful matters against you. That's its goal. That's how it was programmed. But you've got to also remember not to be paranoid about your own ego because it's under your control. You made it. You made it. Now, unfortunately, you can't destroy it because of the way it's been devised. You're so smart. You're so genius. You've given yourself no way out. But the infinite isn't subject to any of that. So that's why you go to the infinite for help with this stuff rather than trying to do it all by yourself, because you can't, because of the fact that you're so brilliant. Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me and said, Aha, aha, our eye hath seen it. Whenever it says aha, aha in the Psalms, that's mockery. That's mockery. So whatever the mean things that you say to yourself, about yourself, and if the ego notices, oh, wait a minute, I have to have higher self-esteem, then it'll say, okay, so we're going to say mean things about other people then. It doesn't matter to the ego as long as it's somehow mocking the innocent child of the infinite. So anytime you're hearing that aha, aha, in whatever form it shows up, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that ego mind that is the source and substance of all of these things that we're trying to get rid of. This thou hast seen, O Lord. Keep not silence, O Lord. Be not far from me. And that's an acknowledgement that the infinite is never far from you because you are one with it. Again, with the image of the beam of light from a star, there's no separation there. You don't have a separate beam that's separate from the star. So just because your ego has convinced you that you're all alone and that if there is a God, it's very, very far away, even though that's been your experience of the world based on the fact that you believe that you're separate, doesn't make it so. It just means that you're living in a nightmare because you are believing that, and because your mind is so powerful that it can create that experience for you. But it's not true. So the closest thing to you is your source, is your creator. And when you just sit and contemplate that and know that that's true, you've saved yourself thousands of years of reincarnation trying to figure all this stuff out. Stir up thyself and awake to my judgment, even unto my cause, my God and my Lord. Well, the infinite doesn't need to stir itself up because the infinite's already at full throttle. There are no little and big and soft and loud and all that stuff in the infinite. It's all just oneness. But you can stir yourself up. You can stir up your enthusiasm. You can stir up your own magic dust within you. Judge me, O Lord. And what you want to stir up is not stir up, okay, now I'm going to attack this problem. No, you want to stir up your enthusiasm of praise, your enthusiastic praise of what is good in your life, of the source of all your life. Judge me, O Lord, my God, according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. So when we are asking for the Lord to judge us, we are saying, sort this out for me. Show me what part of my mind is real and what part of my mind is ego. Help me just by letting that ego mind go and showing me what the reality of myself is. And that's the judgment of God. God judges you all the time. And God's judgment is always that you are fabulous. Fabulous. There's no part of you that's not fabulous. That part of the Gnostic Mass from Crowley, there is no part of me that is not of the gods. That's what that means. There's no part of you that's not divine. Now, the part of you that believes that you're not divine, that's not a part of you, and it doesn't exist. Isn't that nice to know? It doesn't exist. It has absolutely no reality other than in the realm of a hallucination or a nightmare. Okay. Let them not say in their hearts, ah, so would we have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up. Well, that's the ego's goal, is to swallow you up. The ego's goal is for you just to die and to go away into nothingness. But you see, the ego is insane. And so it's trying to make something happen that can't happen. Sure, you can kill the body. Sure, you can kill the personality, but you can't kill the soul. It's unassailable. So if you are at one with the source and not listening to the ego and not allowing the ego free rein, the ego has no power over you. And that's your choice. You get to choose that. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at mine hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. And that's the ego again. And now again, if there are people out there causing you problems and you're using this as a curse, these people will be taken care of. But your job is to internalize this and take it personally. Take it personally. Understand that you're the source of part of this. Your ego mind at least is. And so now you're disciplining your mind, and allow your ego to be shamed. Allow your ego to be disconnected from you and put back into the native nothingness out of which it came. But you can't do that for yourself. You have to allow it to be done for you. And that's what we're doing with this psalm. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteousness. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them continually say, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. So the them that are shouting for joy are all your thoughts. And you can think about it as all of the host of heaven, all the angels. They're all on your side, by the way, all of them. All they want is you to succeed and be happy. And anytime you make a step in the right direction, listen for the champagne corks popping in heaven as they're having the party. So everybody, now all parts of your mind, we're asking also, all parts of your mind, all thoughts in your mind, join the party. Shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, and remember that all of the angels in the host of heaven favor your righteous cause. They all want you to be happy. Let them continually say, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. So you're the servant of God. How do you serve God? By being in the moment, by following guidance, by doing what you're guided to do. And what's the reward for that? You get to be happy, because that's what the infinite wants for you. You're serving your own happiness when you do that. And my tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all the day long. Well, finally we get to the shortcut. If you just do this, verse number 28, you don't have to worry about it. The rest of it's taken care of. My tongue shall speak of thy righteousness and of thy praise all day long. Now, the tongue is not only the way that you utter words in the physical world, but it's also your inner speech. And so if you discipline yourself to stay on the topic of praise and stay on the topic of righteousness, then you are you're on the beam where all of these blessings occur. Righteousness means sanity, right-mindedness. Sanity is equivalent to peacefulness, peace of mind. The peace of mind is also the same thing that in the New Testament was called the kingdom of heaven. So it's really basic. There's nothing superstitious about any of this. It means the more peace of mind that you experience, the more you are in your right mind, righteous. And the more you are in your right mind, the easier it is for you to access all of the blessings from the so-called kingdom of heaven and from the source of your life. And so when you do that, everything works out for you. So you just keep coming back to the same psalm over and over again, once a day, until you get a sense of peace and certainty that whatever the problem is that you brought to the psalm is working itself out. You're not worried about it anymore. You really feel like, oh, this feels so much better. And you have trust and faith and certainty that it is working out. Once you get that click, you know that your spell is cast and you can just forget all about it and move on to something else. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Until next time, blessed be. Phew. Okay. Well, we did need that extra couple minutes, so I'm glad that we don't have our premiere until 11:15. But now we have a 13-minute break. So I hope that you do join us for the premiere. And like I said, if you wait until the exit music is finished, then you will just get right to the link. Let me see if we had any questions before we end the stream, since we do have some time. Sorry, this is slower than molasses in January. Okay. But the ego is so loud, louder than the higher self. No, it's not. No, it's not. You think it is. You think it's so much louder than the higher self, but that's because you can't stand the idea of peace. You're so accustomed to, now I'm not saying you personally, but you collectively, we all are. We are so accustomed to the clamor and the loud noise of the ego that we're afraid of what it feels like when it's not clamoring. But if you discipline your mind, and if you do your part and you discipline your mind, the ego has to shut up. It has to. So if you feel like you can't do that, try something like the magic minute or another type of discipline where you can discipline your mind. The reason why the ego seems to have all the power is because we have undisciplined minds. We just allow ourselves to go down any train of thought. We allow any kind of intrusive thought to come in, and we feel like we don't have any charge over it, but we do. If you get those intrusive thoughts that won't shut up, try the off switch. That's another technique that I have that works really well for me. And that magic minute, if you can start out with a minute and you can slowly over time build it up to 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to have 15 or 20 minutes of time where it's just you and the infinite and your ego can't come in. What do you think that's going to do for you? It's going to give you all kinds of access to your power. So if you believe that the ego is so loud and you can't have power, you can't that you can't shut it up, then it's going to be that way for you. But you have to know, wait a minute, no. I'm going to take it one small step at a time, and if I can find 30 seconds of peace, then I can find a minute of peace. If I can find a minute of peace, I can find 90 seconds of peace. And you just take it little by little by little, and until you can grow your ability to withstand the feeling of inner peace. You can do this. Yes, you can. And other people are also much louder than the higher self. Well, you don't have to do this around other people. You don't have to do this around other people. See, that's what the ego does right there, what you're saying. And I'm not calling you out personally, because we all do this, not just you. We all do this. But, that's the ego. But. And we just have to just not take any of the buts from ourselves. We have to just take control of our mind and say, I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to use some technique or another. I'm going to find some path where I can calm my mind, where I can calm and focus my mind, even if only for a moment. But the moment is all it really takes. And over time, those moments expand into larger amounts of time in this three-dimensional reality. But the infinite only needs that one moment, only needs an instant of you not listening to the ego to come in and rearrange things for you. And one of the ways that you can do that is by working with Psalms. Another way is by working with meditation or other forms of magic. The serpent path on the tree of life is all about undoing our connection to our ego. Right? And yeah, it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes to go through these paths of enlightenment. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And once we get to the other side of it, we look back and we think, well, it wasn't that hard. But it seemed hard in the moment because we're so accustomed to living in the world the way that we think that the world is. And the world that we think that the way that we think the world is ruled by our egos. So I understand what you're saying. I really do. And we all go through that. But we have to also realize that we're more powerful than that. We are much more powerful than that. So thank you for those two great questions. Did I miss something?
I put your Psalm Magic playlist on when I fell asleep and had prophetic dreams for some friends, and then woke up to bright light and told to look up 1917 and the angel message of that number. Well, that's nice. Sounds nice. I do have a question for Ariel. How can one discover when to leave a career or job? That's one of the best reasons why we can build this relationship with our inner guide for those kinds of things. Now, for another thing you can do when you're asking a question like that to yourself, you can use a divination type tool. Sometimes you can just use the book of Psalms and just say, let's say I had a question about, I don't know, a bill that I had to pay. Should I pay this bill now or should I wait? I don't understand what to do. And then I can just ask that question, close my eyes, and then go till I get to a verse. And it says, I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me. So to me, that's saying pay the bill before anything else. You see what I mean? So you can use a divination device like that. But you get to the point also when you're working with your inner guide that you can just ask the guide. You can go into one of your meditations with the guide and just say, what should I do about this? Should I stay? Should I leave? And you'll get a sense. You'll get a definite pull in one direction over the other, and you'll know which thing is right for you. So that's another good question. Such great questions. Thank you so very, very much, everybody. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the amazing moderators, Dre and Jason. And it looks like I got all the questions, yeah? Did I miss anybody? Doesn't look like it. And I hope that we see you over at the premiere today that's happening in just 5 minutes? No, 6 minutes from now. So we'll see you over there. Until next time, blessed be.